Hey there, Leo fam, how you be? Let's check in on what kind of vibes do you still have to look forward to, possibly, in the month of May 2025. Seeing some intriguing cards, like glimpses of them while I was pre-shuffling. So let's see. Cutting the archetype decks, pulling the middle to the top, and we have the one. And the one is just kind of leaning to the left, which speaks to me of the past. There are elements about yourself and who you are that you may be trying to reconnect with, that you lost, that you may have been a part of self-sacrifice when you were in survival mode. Things that you felt that you had to do, but you're recognizing that there may be parts of yourself lost in the mix that you really shouldn't have sacrificed. You really didn't mean to lose. It was so integral and so important. And you may have worried that you realized it too late. And like, if it's such a part of you, just give yourself time. You know what I mean? Give yourself that elbow room and patience. And the next card is the Venom. Now this is leaning to the right and the future. Interesting. So we have the one, and then we have the Venom, and it's almost like this one is a bit more like this, actually, wasn't it? It's almost like they're kind of at war with one another, right? Maybe there's something about the future that's making you a bit feisty, and it's all a part of like the growing pains, right? Maybe you've really been getting on yourself because you've been hearing yourself be a bit snippy, a bit short with people. But you have the Starborn card. This is what I'm talking about when I was getting glimpses of some really interesting cards when I was shuffling. I'm talking about stuff like the Starborn card, right? This is tapping into that idea of like soul contracts, right? And that we all are part of the universe. We're all stardust, right? And that connection. Maybe you've just reached a point in life where you're trying to, in your own journey, and this, it's been such a transitional phase for so many of us recently. But you're a bit nervous because the unknown is the unknown, right? And you're trying to reclaim parts of yourself from the past. And maybe that's kind of it. Like, it reminds me of when I pull the Tower card in tarot, that can speak of such sudden and immense change. And I have a tendency to be like, let it crumble, you know what I mean? But there's that energy. What's making me think of it is there's that energy of, don't try to make things, you know, yourself like before. Maybe that's the perspective that you're struggling with, and you just needed someone to remind you. It's like, it's never going to be like before, but that's good, right? You've grown, you've learned. There are mistakes that you made in the past because you're human that you're just simply never going to do again, right? Because you've learned from it. And so don't try to fit back into an old cookie cutter mold. You don't belong there, right? Recognize that this is new and it can be better than ever because you continue to grow and evolve into a better version of yourself, right? Hopefully that's what we're doing here on Earth. But it's like you're able to recognize that there's more to life than what you thought. And you're trying to figure out what that means for you. And you might be getting a little bit feisty, right? It's only natural for some of us, for a lot of us. let's, you know, consider Psych 101 simplicities. So with the Believe in Your Own Magic Oracle deck, the first card I'm pulling is the Escapist. Come home to yourself. This card can speak of not only like binge watching, you know, shows and stuff on streaming services, or if you got the discs. But like, you know, like some people will daydream and they need to go on vacation and stuff. And to a degree, that's normal. We all could use a break sometimes. We all can play a good old fashioned round of anywhere but here, anyone but me, right? But when that's constant, when you're just disassociating yourself throughout the day and losing track of time, and that's all that you're doing regularly. Like, that's time going by, days going by, months. You know what I mean? There's something going on. This is a symptom. And this is like a gentle coaxing of, you need to come back to yourself. You need to come back to your life, because the root cause needs to be dealt with. And you're worthy of persevering that. You are worthy of getting to come out the other side of this whole experience, right? The next card. Damn, this is why I love doing this shit, because moments like this, do you see what, look at this pretty card. Oh my goodness. You're stardust. Stardust, right? Anything is possible, and you are very capable. Nothing's big, nothing's small. It's all connected. We're all stardust. We're all creatures of this earth, creatures of habit, and all of that good, right? Let's think of it in the most positive sense possible, and let that, instead of, heal alchemy, right? Rather than overwhelming, let's alchemize it into excitement and joy, because if we're slipping into the unknown, anything is possible. Let's take off the training wheels. You know what I mean? On the bottom of that deck is library. Take control of your own narrative. This is your life. You get to decide. That's one of the most wonderful things about being an adult, is you get to decide what that looks like. You get to decide what you look like, what you wear, how you dress, what you drive, where you work, right? What are your skills? What do you want them to be? What are the things that you want to devote your time and energy into, right? Yeah, sometimes we've got to do a bit of things that we don't really want to get to what we want. But I feel like humanity is trying to reach that point where we're recognizing that the crap that we dealt with and that we listened to when we were younger, it's like you age up and you recognize, or you don't, that like it doesn't have to be like what you were told it has to be like. And that can be freeing, right? Let's see if we can get some more clarification with the tarot. I like to think of this as a story, right? And like those are the preludes, prologue, if you will. Let's see. What's chapter 1? Okay. This happened with the Aries reading, so if you have some Aries in your chart, hello. But we're starting off with the Devil card, with that black background. These are quite possibly the couple, these two figures I was trying to cover because of YouTube, are quite possibly the couple from the Lovers card. And they're chained in this setting. But the chain isn't, tight. It's slack. So it's like it's a vibe, right? But with that black background, we're talking about dark nights of the soul. We're talking about unhealthy coping mechanisms, unhealthy habits, addictions, right? The things that we do that may feel whatever in the moment, worth it. I don't want to necessarily trigger anyone either, you know what I mean? But in the long run, they're just not, like, anything in excess is bad, even the good shit, right? And being able to find that line, create those boundaries, and being able to respect them yourself, right? Chapter 2 is the Ace of Pentacles. Well, now that we got that out of the way, here's to new beginnings. The Pentacles are the earth, and the Devil card is an earth card. It's a very earth card, right? That gravity of the situation, right? Just drawing you down. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in, or however that quote goes, right? These ace cards are, the artwork is meant to be like that idea of a gift from the divine. So what does that mean for you? when we're talking about things like pentacles and the earth and manifestations and like think of new seeds, right? When we see the Page of Pentacles or the Knight, really like once we get into the royalty of the Pentacles, it's all these beautiful gold backgrounds, right? And I like to say it's being served to you on a golden platter. With that ace and all that white, it has that blank canvas feel, right? Really emphasizing that blank canvas and all of the possibilities. So here's some new seeds. Here's some seeds for creating these, you know, these new ideas and everything for this garden that you can cultivate and really put your time and energy into. This is a new beginning. The question is, do you accept? However this gift arrives, whether you want to, you know, consider it a gift from the divine and the universe or your ancestors or Mother Gaia, your true self, you know what I mean? That Christ within type energy, right? Whatever that means for you, the question is, do you accept? Are you open to receive this gift? And what are you going to do with it, right? Next, chapter 3. Oh my goodness gracious. This is like such as like both of those cards combined. The freaking Sun card. This appears, this is one of those cards that has a tendency to speak of a new chapter after a time of darkness, depression, mourning, difficulties, right? That new chapter, that rebirth and love for life, being your own savior, riding in on a white horse, and with that red flag, speaking of passion, yeah, but also that lifeblood, your heart, that energy, that like mythological beings feed off of, that sustains all of us ultimately, right? And all those sunflowers looking right at you. All of these beings in this card looking to the light. The one that gets to choose all of these options and is so capable, right? Accept that fresh awe for life. The wonderful possibilities that are mixed in with all of that unknown, right? In this new chapter. Because this is the end of a very dark and painful chapter. There's that dark night sky, but we have that new dawn. Here comes the sun. It's what I like to sing. It's what I always think of when I see this card. The downside with a card like this is not only have you had to take a lot of crap from people, you've been betrayed, cheated, lied to, a lot of things, a lot of input that you've received from others in the world and your environment that you've been in that's been very detrimental to your mind, right? I feel like we get trained, right, by toxic parents or, you know, the stereotypical narcissistic kind of crap, you know, that gives other narcissists a bad name, right? That we have to take when we're children, the bad teachers, the crappy classmates and so-called friends who never fulfilled that ideal. You know what I mean? But the problem with this card is at least one of these swords is self-inflicted. And this person is not down for the count, but they are kind of doing that a wee bit like, don't worry about me, I got this. Like they're turning the other cheek. It's almost like some of this can happen because they accepted it. They allowed it. A part of them felt like they deserved it. Or this is just how life is. It's fucked, right? When no, it's not. We have gifts being handed. We have a new chapter that's beginning. And we've been able to get beyond these things that were burdening us and weighing us down, weighing down our minds and our emotions and such, right? Our ability to live, right? Like, people aren't the actual burden. It's their burdens that they carry that drag them down, that drag us down, because I'm human too, right? It's not us, right? So what's going to come up underneath that Devil card? It's the King of Cups. There's that emotional intelligence, that emotional maturity, the ability to feel what the moment calls for, to feel what's coming up in the moment, I mean, right? And accept it, process it. But like if something happens and you're triggered, it doesn't get to ruin the whole day. You know what I mean? You've learned what, if you need to, the things that you could do. Like maybe you made a playlist or something that has songs that you've learned over the years always pick you up. You know what I mean? If I make it to track 5 and I'm not already feeling better, there's a bad moment. You know what I mean? But figuring out what works for you to heal, to be able to flow and be a part of things without getting lost in the sauce, without losing yourself to it, right? Growing, healing, evolving. And underneath the Ace of Pentacles, we have the Six of Cups. The cups are making an appearance. Well, yeah, they're definitely making appearances after the King. Hello, Amy, where are you? Moving on. This card, you know, it can just try to say, like, it's time, you know, if you got kids in your life, spend some time with them. Really, like, remember what it can be like, what it should be like, I feel, in my opinion, is that kids shouldn't have to worry about bills. They shouldn't have to worry about food or clothes on their back. That's their parents' stress, you know? That's your responsibility, not that child's. There should be that carefree, that freedom to explore, to be safe and protected and guided by people who are just trying to look out for your best interest and are truly enabling that, right? Because we have this guard back here. So they're safe, right? Or this is trying to remind you to get tapped into your inner child. Maybe you just didn't really get to have a childhood. Maybe it was a bit robbed from you when you were young and you had to go to work when you were young and be the one who is taking care of your family, right? Maybe this is urging you to tap into that inner child energy of being able to be carefree and enjoy your life and enjoy these gifts that are being served to you, right? Maybe that's a part of the gift, is being able to be within an area, a place where you live, where you're working, wherever the heck, right? In the material realm, because that's under the Ace of Pentacles. You're able to be safe and just exist and explore and be happy and not stressed out about crap that just isn't worthy of taking that kind of toll on your body, right? The cortisol levels and all of that. Underneath the Sun is another major arcana, and this time it's the Strength card. Look at that lion, my dear Leo. You're not only able to have an effect on others. I feel like when I see this card, I'm looking at someone who has learned, like I was saying, like that like feistiness that can come up. It's like you're very aware of how you impact others, right? That performer factor that people tend to talk about when it comes to Leos. And recognizing how, whether it's through meditation, which there's so many, I like to throw up an infographic because like, or just a list. It's just a list really that someone created that I found on Pinterest. That meditation is different, can be different for all of us, right? Don't worry about the usual suspects. If there's something about it that's turned you off this whole time, then maybe you're just doing it wrong. I don't mean any disrespect or anything, but I'm kind of tired of hearing it, you know? There are just so many ways, and you're probably already doing it without even realizing it, is more so what I'm trying to say. Because you've learned how to soothe yourself. There's so, like, this is you not being caught up in this anymore. Moving beyond it, right? And not wanting to take your withdrawals or your triggers or whatever the heck it is out on others from here on out, right? Wanting that clean slate, wanting to be happy, wanting to move on and fulfill your own purpose, not the purpose you're told from others throughout your life, the one that actually resonates with you, the one that you've wanted to do all along. And underneath the 10 of Swords, we have the 8 of Wands. We're sticking with that fire, that warmth. This speaks of spontaneous, like a message coming in, an invitation to go on a trip, right? Traveling, right? Motion is being represented here. This is one of the very few cards in the entire deck where no person, no type of figure is represented, and it's just those wands flying through the air, right? So this new chapter, maybe it's trying to remind you that, don't be so hyper-focused on the destination. Know that things, you may be getting swept up, things may be about to change really quick and slip into this new chapter. You may not have even realized that you're already in the new chapter, right? Like, it's, holy crap, what's going on? How on earth is this so much like the Aries reading? We began with the Devil, and we are reuniting with this couple in the Lovers card. Wow, that's the epilogue. That is so wild that happened twice with 2 fire signs. Boom, boom. Wow. So you have, because I feel like all too often people overlook when the tarot speaks of love, what comes first and foremost? Self-love. Love begins with us, right? And there are different elements represented in this card. We have that beautiful, beautiful sun blazing down over this angel. And really, when you think about it, when you think of the lore of it all, if we're going with such Christian imagery, they're both angels looking over this couple, right? And in this one, we have the Tree of Life and the Tree of Knowledge represented. But in this one, you still have like the flame on this tail that kind of almost looks like a, maple leaf changing with the season, and the like green kind of gardeny kind of thing over here, right? So it's like their roots are still represented, their true selves are still in there, but they're just a bit hazy. They're a bit lost in the sauce with this gravity of the situation. You know what I mean? And this new chapter is such a chapter of love and acceptance, continuing to learn and grow and evolve. And it's incredible. Like, the only real negativity at all happening are these 2 cards, but they are speaking of growth. They themselves have those little hidden notes within them, like this card with that dawn coming in, right? Reminding us that there's always another day, and it's always darkest before the dawn and all that, right? And on the bottom, we have the Queen of Swords, which I want to say that came up. Am I mistaken? Wilding. The signs, these readings have been absolutely wilding this month. Just completely wilding. I can't even. But this card's speaking of mental clarity, logic. You know what I mean? I like to say that the King and Queen of Swords are really good at friendly debates. They're not getting emotional about it. You know what I mean? Even if they have emotions, even if they're having their own reactions, there's still logic. And that's how things are being handled. They're still tapped into that intuition, right? And wanting justice for all. Because one of the other 2 of the 3 cards where that sword is going straight up is Justice, right? Justice, the Queen of Swords, and the Ace of Swords. My goodness gracious, May of 2025, fam. Leos, wow. Okay, so whoever has Aries in your chart, you're being called out. Check out that reading. There's a message in there for you. And the other card is, what are we doing here? What? What? Dude, get out of here. You wildin'. I'm telling you. On the bottom, we have clean house. Literally. Fam, at the time of filming this, we are in that final month of spring. Am I right? Get it clean. Literally, that could mean your actual house. Maybe with this dark night of the soul, you haven't been keeping up with things like the dishes and vacuuming. Dude, just vacuuming a room makes it look 10 times better, and you know it. Get it done. You're capable. You've got this. We're just catching up, and we're doing that spring cleaning. Maybe it means that you know that you have shitty people surrounding you, and they can get on out. They can get on out, fam. Get out. So says me, okay? Aw, fam, look at all this growth. Look at all this happiness. It's been so painful and so difficult, and all of this hard work and strength and resiliency. Let's get back to enjoying life, okay? That awe for life. You've got this. And none of this would happen if it wasn't for you. Everything that you've done has enabled this, right? So just remember that it all begins with you, and love yourself. Take care of yourself and nurture yourself and trust yourself. And you keep whatever you're doing, you keep it up, because you know exactly what you need. You know what makes your soul purr, and you're purring. May's a month for purring, Leo. Yay. Thank you for hanging out with me. I always appreciate the company. And you always remember, please, that I believe in you. Okay, fam? Yeah.